Hello everyone, from Humble Tree in World Politics, we will see India and China historical relationship and the relevance in the current situation. Why the China aggression is rising day by day in the current. That the answer has given in the history itself. We must understand it to have the current affair look in the better manner. So here you will see the historical perspective of India and China for the UPSC answer writing perspective, how India and China current relationship is shaking with the different dynamics and what will happen. So here by learning this you can be able to write a good answer in UPSC mains. So we'll see here China aggression first, second border dispute with China and India, third fundamental difference that China has, China pursuing with the centralist China policy in the world, how that is shaping day by day, we're gonna discuss about that, and fourth the international relation that India and China is shaping by their South China Sea policy, locust policy and all. Look, official relation with China and India has shaped since 2003 when Atal Bihari Vajpayee had visited China to break the ice to have a good relationship with China. Here, India and China has signed WTO, World Trade Organization, to be a part of the developing nations so that they can be able to counter EU countries, European members, and the USA. Same with the IMF, International Monetary Fund, so that both countries can be able to have good say. Still, they are doing in the monetary analysis of the world, so that can be invested in the perspective of developing countries also. World Bank. At World Bank, they can be able to vote for each other, and the climate change, as we have seen in the Paris climate change, that India and China was together against the US. That if you are not there, we will dare to support the Paris climate deal. Now, in actual, if you will see, these things have been used as a China to tactics to keep calm India and use their methods to go for their struggle into the centralist power of this world. Actually, China is the biggest threat for India. Always it has been and it will be always because of the geographic compulsion, political compulsion, and the economic compulsion. We will see all these three compulsions into the detail. China's strategy, as I already told you, they wanted to be the central power of this world. But for being a central, they need to be very assertive and power assertive. When they're already USA is there and the European countries are there. India do not want it to be a world power. India wanted to be a world teacher, a good giver to the world, like yoga, like spiritual wisdom of thoughts. So these things India has. India doesn't want it to be the superior power. India wanted to be a good power. From with this all, we must understand that from starting 1947 itself, Patel knows about the India situation and the China expansion policy. That's why he warned Nehru that you must understand before going for the Panchil that China has the expansionist power. So we should be must prepare for the war. But at that time, Jawaharlal Nehru didn't have any option because Jawaharlal Nehru and think about that when we do not have arms and ammunition, neither the military equipped military and the strategic point of view to have a good war-like situation, then you can be able to deal with the situation. Actually India just got independence, so these are the reasons that Jawaharlal Nehru cannot be able to proceed with the aggressive position of India in front. Now in Nehru era, we will discuss the appeasement policy which Nehru has done at that time with the China. When you appease any country, they thought you are weak. That happens with the China. China thought India is weak and they easily can be able to control the India by their muscle power. And then they attack in 1962, and same with the fundamental value of China. Indian politicians even ignore the fundamental value of China. They wanted to be the central power of this world. And when you wanted to be the central power of this world, you need to create a hegemony in this world and compete with the most powerful country, that is US. So because India has ignored it and they faced the 1962 war in which India has lost the war, and that is the biggest setback for Nehru. Balancing border dispute with China. This always being a problem with India because China never wants to solve this dispute with India. Look, if this is the China and India border, China is here, India is here. So if China wanted to come, they can easily come to this area and they do not have too much of geographical foundations. But India has the geographical foundations as hill and rivers. So because of that, Indian force cannot be able to mobilize very fast nearby the border areas, but Chinese can. That's why the recently BRO has built so much of road to go nearby China. And other thing, that when they have the Tibet and the other areas, they can be able to control very easily. And if Tibet is not controlled, then other countries will take benefit of that, and through Tibet they can be able to create problems in China. So that is the main reason China always wanted to have Tibet to be a global hegemony. Now we'll discuss about Jeff Smith. He is given the very correct and very good analysis for the India and China, that by 60 policy. Look, first T is for the territory. India and China shares boundary for 3,480 kilometers. That is the biggest line boundary between any country India has. So by sharing that much of the boundary, India must gonna have some dispute. But that dispute China is solving in aggressive mode. Now, right now you have seen in the Galwan Valley, they are mobilizing their force. They are creating their force mobilization to put backside India, but India is standing on their place. Same happens in the Doklam crisis. Now in Tibet, second T is for the Tibet. Tibet never being a full sovereign power of China, because Tibet, whenever China mainland power used to get increased, then they are controlling the Tibet, otherwise they can't. And in the earlier time that happens the same, and in current situation also same happening. The China has more power now, they are controlling the Tibet, but not in the fully way, because the Dalai Lama already, they never wanted to be the part of China. They wanted to be the independent country and more pro India. So China never wanted to let that happen. Second T is Taiwan. Third T, sorry. Taiwan is actually really a big problem for China, and with that, a big economic hub for China. So China never wanted to lose Taiwan from their territorial control. That's why they always prove their sovereignty over Taiwan. And in the recent that WTO, they didn't let join Taiwan into as a member country itself. And as we know that in world, no country recognize Taiwan as a sovereign country. So that kind of that political foundations has created for Taiwan, so that it cannot be able to be the part of the world. The trade, no, for example, just we'll see the what is the current situation between India and China trade. 75 billion of the trade India and China does every year. So in that, only 18 billion exported by the India, and 57 billion of the export deficit India has from China. So this cannot be balanced in a day or the like in the coming years. So that's why some intellectuals from India now saying please boycott Chinese good. Actually, it is not against the China, Chinese people. It is against the Chinese government, who is making its authoritarian regime to control the other countries. So that must not happen. Third party, this is very important. First we'll talk about US. US is always has a great importance in India and China politics. Whenever US relationship goes deeper to India, that is bad sign for China, because as we know, after 1970, 9 or 1980s, you can say that USSR has collapsed. When USSR has collapsed at 1991, then China knows that the more the power shift policy will be played between China and US. So Cold War 2.0 officially started at that time only, but now we see the words coming like Cold War 2.0. Even I have a video on this, you can see in my channel, Cold War 2.0 between China and US. Now, the sixth one, 6T, is the threat perception. Threat perception means China always has the threat in India by their muscle power, by their political power. Now they first became the nuclear power, then they threaten, and they do in every instance so that they can be able to control India. Now through Nepal, they are doing that with the pretty politics that India has to come under the China. So they are giving the aggressive mode to Nepal so that Nepal can made some compulsion to India. And in third party, we'll have two more countries, like first Hong Kong and Taiwan, if we'll take for example, because Hong Kong officially earlier, before bringing the national security law in 2020, used to be a democratic place, but now that the democratic place has been taken. And the third, if we'll take the Japan, because India can be able to have the third party, to balance the power. Like Japan is the country which is always against China, so we use this power to control China in the region. So this is how the 60 policy has been given by the Jeff Smith in the correct way. Now India and China relation, how with China it has been bended towards by the different politicians since the cold phase has started, cold peace after the World War II between USSR and USA. So what happened? First, Vajpayee ji, when he became the foreign minister, first he visited the China to break the ice to make a friendship with China. But what China has done on that day itself, they attacked the Vietnam and annexed it. So that kind of bad policy China has played in the past. So that is the reason China cannot be trusted at any instant of time with India. So if you want to have good relationship with China, be more powerful, then they will obey you. It's a power politics. It's simple. It is a power politics. Now, at that time, Russia, India, and Vietnam has good relationship that is breaked because of that, because Taiwan has been annexed. Sorry, Vietnam has been annexed. After that, the Cold War, nearly mid 80s, Rajiv Gandhi visited in China. When he visited, he has some peace treaty with Chinese counterparts. But at that time, they played a very important political role. That then Jiang Ping wanted to a peaceful rise of China. For that, he do not want the neighbor countries to be upset and create the hindrances to become the global power. So China silently shook the hands with India to make its peaceful rise. So here also Rajiv Gandhi has done the good thing to be a friend, but China has taken in a negative way and used that as an opportunity. Now, 1962, if you take the war with China, many things are other that how India and China relationship are more getting destroyed because of the regional imbalances that China and India has, and that is going to be have in the future, as we have seen in the 60s policy. Now, first, USA and India relationship. As day by day it will get increased, China will be never happy with it. When India joined the Commonwealth, at that time also, China has created the ignored eye on India that you cannot go for the Commonwealth nation because that is the imperialist countries, they have control over there. So India might become the imperialist country. China never look India as a matured country. There is a reason for that. They think that India cannot be able to deal with the Pakistan in the matured way. So India cannot be determined as a mature country, and that serves their policy because they do not wanted to give a good look to India that India is doing its political in the better way. Nehru forward policy. This must be understood. When Nehru has given the forward policy, he accepted the Dalai Lama in 1959, and by accepting the Dalai Lama, so India accepted the sovereignty of Tibet on their country as a sovereign power. So China did not wanted to have in the future. So that hindrances the China. Second thing that Nehru forward policy put, they gone for the punch seal, and after that in the Arunachal Pradesh, they have created the some of the Arunachal Pradesh area into the different states. So that again created a problem for China. In their mind that might be an India will do something wrong. So they thought to teach a lesson to India, and because of that, they have given this reason to teach a lesson to India. We have gone for the war, and at that time they have some of the territory. U.S. policy on Hong Kong and Taiwan. As we know, China is imposing on Taiwan and Hong Kong that actually one country, two policy. So Hong Kong and Taiwan has earlier one country, two policy. Now it is only for Taiwan. Hong Kong has been annexed in 2020 by the National Security Bill by taking off the Article 20 of Hong Kong, which gives Hong Kong as a after when they came out of the British regime 1949 to be 100 years for a democratic. After that they can they can be able to decide that they wanted to go inside the China or not. But that freedom has not given. That freedom has curtailed. Democracy has killed in Hong Kong by Chinese national security law of 2020. Now, China need Aksai Chin. That is very important for China. Because China, this is the part as you can see, if they wanted to come over the other area, that the Uyghur Muslims are there and in the different areas, then this is the only route which is operational. When snow is there, they cannot be able to cross the area because of the Himalayas. So they need it very dire way. So that's why they're controlling the Aksai Chin. And the Panchshil failure. Panchshil failure, we should accept it for the both of the countries. Neither, no, China never accepted it, and they followed the aggressive mode and they attacked in Arunachal Pradesh. So you can think that how they have followed it, and India has done bad thing to accept China that they will follow the Panchshil because they never have the policy to be trusted like that. So in China has really done a bad job by cheating India and attacking in the backside of India. No, if you need to understand the India and China, then you must understand in proper way. 1962 war, there's many reasons why that war happens, and with that war, how India and China policy changed for the many years. Now, first, Eastern sector, if we'll talk, Eastern sector is about the Arunachal Pradesh. Arunachal Pradesh, here, here you can see there is a red line over here, and that red line demarks the China's boundary claim over here. So when they claim the China's boundary here, they thought that this is the 90,000 square kilometer miles of area India has taken from us. So that's why we are taking the Aksai chain. We'll come to this part. And when India has taken the 90,000 square kilometer area, actually that is the part of China, India. China never has this place for always. Whenever, as I told you, they have the more power, they used to come over the Tibet and annex that area. So at that time only, that for some period it goes to the China. So China is now making the wrong historical disputes into their correct line of control so that they can be able to have Arunachal Pradesh. In Simla Agreement 1914, we'll talk about McMahon Line. At this time, what happened? McMahon has given the Aksai Chin to China, and Johnson, what he has done, he has given Aksai Chin to India. So there is a dispute lies that these two agreements are there. But after that, in 1914, when Simla Conference happened, in Simla Conference, it has been clearly said that Aksai Chin will be the part of India. But China has claimed over there that in that party meet, British government is there and Chinese government is not on the table. They have gone off from the table and Tibet is there. So Tibet is not a sovereign power. So that is what the reason they said that I do not accept the Simla agreement. So that is kind of authoritarian regime. China is there and they are putting their muscle power on that place. With that, we must know that when China India has the multiple confrontation, then Pakistan goes to China as a friend. And what they have done, they have given the Saksgam Valley to China so that whenever India attacks, they have to meet with the Chinese forces and they cannot be able to come further. So this is something in their mind. They have given the China as a even the land boundary. So that is the biggest thing, biggest mistake Pakistan has done ever. Because of that, these two countries cannot be able to have the good relationship in the future. I'm talking about Pakistan and China, because giving away a territory simply as he's your enemy's will not benefit will not benefit you into the long term. Now, recent updates, at last we will see that how in recent that historical impacts are going to be repeated again, as we say that history repeats itself again. So PM Modi said that we must understand this line properly. Future generation should not be prisoner of the past. That means what the past has faced, we must not be the prisoner of the present. What Nehru era has faced the setback, what Jawaharlal Nehru after Rajiv Gandhi has faced the setback, we must not be the proof of that. We must change it because they wanted to give their best to put India into the good shape. Now we will let complete their dream by our own way. And 2013, because of that, India has signed the peace border agreement with China. Whatever happens on the border after that, local like major and the military officers, they used to get agreement between them and solve the border dispute. But in 2020 it has shaped some of the scenario because of the China expansionist policy has given a different flag now in the world. 2017, India has gone for the SCO membership, Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So actually this has been made to counter Quad and doing successfully also, because India now never puts a good relationship here, neither in the Quad. So India has to take the side here. No, one side, either go for the USA or go for the China. Now it looks for the USA. After the Doklam crisis, India has understood India can contain China politically, and psychological war India must not lose from China, as Sam Saran said already. India and USA increasing relationship, this always created a problem, and nowadays whatever the border dispute is happening, USA is coming in front of media and openly supporting India that USA is with India. No, South China Sea. What China has done that recently they had renamed the two Japanese island as their island, by the Chinese name, like the Senkaku Island. They have renamed it by the Chinese name. And 2020, as we know, Vietnam, China didn't let the Vietnam enter into the WHO membership. And what happened after that? The Hong Kong They have passed the national security bill. They have completely annexed it. You can say about that. They have killed the democracy over there. And India and China border issue 2020, it has been increased and seen in different phases. Right now, as you see that the Nakula Pass and in the Galwan Valley nearby Ladakh, what is happening. So these things are happening continuously nowadays. Let's see what we'll have in the future. One thing Napoleon has said about China, that when China will come out of its slumber, it will astonish the world. But I think little correct mistake he has given when he is giving the dynamics of world. Because China has already come out of its slumber and now preparing to go back into the slumber. Because when you have the multiple front and no friends and always enemies, that then that doesn't gonna serve you better, and then you have to wait and watch for the situation what will happen. From now onwards, I used to come every day for the current affairs detail what will happen in the future of India and China relation, and we will discuss about that in the detail. So thank you for listening me. Hit the like button and like the button of subscribe. Thank you guys, and please subscribe the channel so that you can be able to have the current affairs videos on India and China for the other international relation disputes also. I'll be coming regularly on that. Thank you guys.